All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Get Cracking podcast, knowledge on what to do and where to start. We are on a mission to healthy accelerate each one of us to happiness. We help to solve the problem of people being unsure what they want to do and removing initial direction fatigue. And we have interviews with the professionals from all the fields in this season of the podcast. And today it is a real treat for you guys. Super interesting person, Ruman. Welcome.
Hello.
Super. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for making it here. I super appreciate that you being here. We know each other for quite a long from university times, right?
Yeah, it's been 10 years already.
God, the time is running. So, and then within these 10 years, you've done quite a lot. But we're going to speak about this in a bit. And tradition of our podcast. So in order for guests to meet with audience and audience actually get to know the guests, we have a pitching session. So 60 seconds personal pitch. Ruman, floor is yours.
Hello everyone. So my name is Ruman and I'm from Bangladesh. I'm 37 years old. I've been living in Finland for the past 10 years, as I've said earlier on. And primarily, I've been a software engineer. I've been in the industry for the last 6 to 7 years now. I've been working from startup to big enterprise pretty much everywhere. So I've worked with, let's just say, e-commerce to SaaS solution and whatnot. Yeah, I'm very passionate about the web stuff, and I love to kind of go to the nitty-gritty of problems and trying to always bring the optimized solution for this. But yeah, that's about me.
Cool. Exactly 1 minute. So do you have a timer also somewhere?
No, I didn't.
It was exactly 1 minute.
Right.
Thank you very much. What do you think, Ruman? Is it important to be able to present yourself in 60 seconds, let's say?
I think it depends in the context. Probably because I've been to so many job interviews,
right?
And also had to pitch for, let's just say different scenarios, but it kind of conveys the same kind of message that I need to concisely say something about myself. So I think I have honed the skill for a while now because I've been pro in giving interviews, just so to say.
Super good. And I think it's not only your past, but then also your future. And then I believe we all need to be able to crisply introduce ourselves and, let's say, pitch ourselves really quickly, because you never know once you really need this skill, once you need to make an impression of someone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool. But let's maybe get to actual topic of today. So you are a software developer, or what is your let's say, status now?
So as I've said, I've been in the industry for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I actually count my university days, during from second year of our degree, and then so from then I would say it's been already more than 8 years now, because during that time I was kind of interested in programming, but not really into the zone. Especially I didn't know if it is going to be feasible, and I didn't have any solid programming background before that era, and it always felt like it's going to be, or it is, a very complex field.
Right.
I need lots of brain power, or I need to be very analytical person. But nonetheless, I think I've been in the industry for the 6-7 years. That says quite much about it.
So do I get it correctly? So you are now, let's say, a Jedi of development, or?
I don't know, if Jedi would the best term to say, but let's just say, I'm very much into the, I'm always learning.
Yeah.
That never stops. Maybe, I'm more I read well enough now. Maybe in the beginning of my stage, I was not able to
Yeah, I'm just trying to give a perspective of, let's say, your level of expertise.
Yeah.
And then, if we put you out there in the market, so then you are a full stack developer, right? And then is it already kind of senior full stack developer?
Right. Yeah. You want the kind of pen and paper definition. Yes. In that sense, my title is senior software engineer.
Right.
That's been for last 2 years or 3 years now.
Okay, so you're almost a senior of seniors.
Maybe, but let's just say I want to I love to work with people and I love to mentor them, and I love to also look through codes and see if there's something that has a code smell in technical term. So let's just say I am more of I can guide people. So in that way, I'm senior.
Yeah. So the reason I'm clarifying this, I'm just bringing your credibility up. So then people who are listening, they would already kind of see okay, this guy kind of made it in the development sphere, so he knows what he speaks about, right? So this was my kind of clarification angle.
Got it.
Right. But then in terms of our podcast subject, we are always interested from where it all actually started. So what is the story of you? When was the first time you thought of software development?
It has a long, winding history, but I got seriously intrigued by it during I think the last year of my bachelor study, when I was doing my bachelor thesis. And at first I was I will go to the theoretical route, do those kind of the thesis in a more research way. But then I was this is not for me. I want to do constructive work, where it basically means that you do hands-on and you kind of skip the, let's just say service and whatnot, because I was not interested in it. And then I get to okay, can I build a solution, or can I present my idea in kind of very much kind of a handwritten way. And found out a really great topic, which was ubiquitous software development, which means you write in one language and then you can deploy pretty much in every platform. So,
and then ubiquitous, it means that for everything, and it's really wide.
More or less it's umbrella term. It's a fancy word, but it's simply said your code runs everywhere. That's the idea.
Okay.
And it was almost 8 years ago now, so it was the idea was not fully kind of everywhere. Nowadays, you can have solution you can use one programming language and can pretty much deploy in every field. You have those, but back in those days, it was not as kind of widespread. Right. So in that way, my idea was a bit of noble. And anyway, going back to your previous question, so that was kind of how I got interested in the coding.
Okay.
But then again, coding enough was not the main motivational factor. I was also thinking that I'll be graduating soon and I want to do something for myself.
Right.
What do I want to do? And then kind of got into the research more about my personal development and see where I actually see myself.
Right.
And being a software developer was the kind of the next logical step that I could have taken, and I'm glad that I did.
Okay, so then maybe just let me sum it up. So then it was already your university times, and then you've been approaching the graduation time with the thesis work, and then this is where, so from what I hear, you decided to steer yourself a bit more to practical, and then this practice-oriented research work back then, but then that leads towards the software development journey.
Precisely, yeah.
What was the tooling back then? So how did you turn towards this practical implication? So
that's a good question. So first thing, I was a bit lucky enough to get my hands-on to coding in the bachelor years. If you remember, in our first year, we had coding with Johan, our favorite teacher, and then we learned or started to learn HTML, CSS and stuff. It was cryptic language for me back then.
Somebody learns to remember like you, and somebody learns to forget like me.
But so then it was I got the kind of the starting exposure to the programming world. But even that was this is not for me. I was kind of put off, because for me I didn't learn that much. It felt very much copy paste kind of thing. So I was not kind of motivated enough. But when I finished my graduation, then I think inadvertently was searching about what's the kind of the market value of a software developer, and lo and behold, it's one of the most demanding field back then. The money you get, to be honest, was good enough for that time. And now I can say it already, I've seen very much A-suite people, or the white collar people, they're getting less salary than the average software developer. So I'm I can do it, so why don't I just be serious? So that's how I kind of have had my motivation.
Okay, got it. So then it happens, this kind of mindset shift, and then so you've sit down and you've started to code.
Yeah.
So how does it look like? Do you open your laptop and start to type, or
You mean, are you talking about like how I code nowadays, or
no, maybe not nowadays, but like back then? So
Yeah.
if you remember how it was already some time
yeah,
ago.
yeah. So it was like I used to do cleaning job, like just to get by, and like I always had it in my mind, like I have to go home and then learn,
Right.
like do coding. And back in the days, like there were some YouTuber who are now, I think they're gone, like they don't have any content, but the New Boston channel,
Okay.
and then there was like Jeffrey Way,
Okay.
and like cliche might it sound like I actually searched like learn HTML in 30 days or learn
Okay.
CSS in 1 week, and they would actually have the like precisely this YouTube videos
But
with
are
those
they
titles.
legit? Like, can you trust them?
Yeah, Jeffrey Way, like he's one of the great like he's in the PHP land nowadays, and he has this one channel called one platform called Laracast,
Right.
and it's one of the fastest or like one of the biggest community in the PHP
Nowadays.
world. Nowadays, yeah.
Okay, guys, everybody go check them out.
Yeah.
Who is interested in PHP?
Yeah, for PHP,
Okay.
and if you're like interested in Laravel, I think like most people know it already, but like just let it out there. Jeffrey Way, he's amazing, and he like the way he speak, I think like he can speak to like very dumb people like me,
Right.
and then like I could understand it. So why not? And the New Boston, this guy was legend back then. Now his content, I don't know. I think like now they're like so the saturation is too much. There are really great alternatives out there.
Yeah.
But back in the day, like you search for anything, like you search for, I don't know, like PHP is one of the definitely back, and then there was like how to learn mobile programming,
Right.
and then like they would have like some content how to learn React, and they
Right.
would have like very simplified, like this like he like the New Boston, the guy would made videos for everybody. I mean everybody, like literally you don't have any knowledge in coding, you go and you can actually get something out of it, because like it's such a small, like easy way to.
So is
put
it
out.
is it as simple as that if you want to learn coding, you just go to YouTube and you say learn PHP in 30 days, and then you learn? Or
Well, nowadays I think like you can do it like in multiple different ways. But for me, as I said, like I already had that exposure from
Right.
university education, so I know exactly what keywords I need.
Mhm.
And let's just say now one guy, he wants to do web,
Hmm.
and he knows like there's something called web, but like what's the web consists of, like very minimal HTML, CSS. These
Right.
keywords, like you need to know like what are HTML and what is CSS,
Right.
to kind of like go to the like exact information of HTML.
So
and
exactly, you
CSS.
need to figure out what are these random
Right,
words.
yeah.
I believe somebody is listening now. What is this HTML,
Yeah,
CSS?
I know,
What
right?
are these
Yeah.
things?
So-
And then you learn the concept, and then you learn what does it mean to speak the language of the concept. Let's say.
Precisely. And now, to be honest, because like I think everybody knows about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Just throw a question, like what is web
Insane.
development? Like explain a web development for a 5 years old, and it will give you the information like in a
He
simple
can-
term.
Like the ChatGPT, it is just the next level. But I think I've told you the story that I was coding the Telegram bot,
Yeah.
and it's the Python, and then you know me, I'm not a coder.
Yeah.
I forgot everything that we learned in university, and I just used ChatGPT, and he was doing the coding and debugging and telling me why my server is not running and stuff. And in the end, me and ChatGPT built the Telegram bot. It is a simple, but
Mind-blowing.
it's impressive.
Yeah, just think about it. Like you don't know anything, but like ChatGPT is guiding you to build something. Like it's just next level. man.
Yeah. Right. But then again, so what else is interesting for me, and then for the topic of this podcast, what is the amount of effort did maybe you particularly
Mhm.
put into learning this, the coding? Once you understood, like, okay, I need to go to software development. Okay, these are the languages I want to learn. So how much effort did you put? Was it like, one day?
You have to be very serious and very persistent about it. So when I was doing my bachelor's thesis,
Mhm.
I had to do coding. And I had this kind of like an ultimatum that I have to finish my graduation within 2 months of period. So let's just say like I started from very ground up.
Mhm.
Like I know very basics of HTML, CSS, and bit of JavaScript.
Mhm.
So like I started from like kind of like this day one, and as I said, like I was doing cleaning job back in the day. So I would go to the cleaning job. The job would start from 7 o'clock in the morning. I would come back home at 1 o'clock, someday 2, someday 3 o'clock.
Mhm.
I would come back home. I would make a cup of tea or
Mhm.
coffee, or had my lunch obviously in between, and then I would code until like 10 o'clock. So like pretty much like 7 to 8 hours minimum.
So it's like a second shift.
Yeah, it was like a second shift, and I did it for 1.5 month, like until my graduation. So that's particularly for my thesis work.
Right.
But like it was kind of, it's a twin one, right? Because like it was not only for thesis, it would also kind of like mold me to become a software developer. So I was able to kind of like present in the interview that, hey, like I did this thing, like even though like it is for university, but like this is like very much from ground up, and it has like multiple facade of coding.
Right.
And I know different platform, like, and I know how the desktop platform work.
Right.
I know how the mobile platform work, and I know how the web platform work. And then like interviewer would be impressed because like I know so many things.
Right.
And like I just like spend like 2 months for all these things.
So let's say, it sounds like 2 months of, let's say, full-time work. So for you, it was a bit harder because it was like, 2 shifts per day, one at work, one at the coding learning journey. But then if you put it in the context, so it's 2 months of full-time learning, actually enabled you to become a junior.
Yeah, you can say so, yeah.
Would you say, is it easier?
Certainly so. Quite many new resources, quite many new alternatives. Even though it has a cons, like it's not always like the pros, of course,
right.
Because then you have this this one technical term called tutorial fatigue. Like you're always searching for the best, and you end up like learning nothing. So we have to be careful of that one, of course. But I think now it's a bit easier. Let's just say ChatGPT is there to support you. Even the free model has very. I think nowadays it compiles really fast.
Right.
So I mean, you can get very basic information and very important information nonetheless. And there are so many great channels. If let's just say if I would start from now on, I think I would definitely choose this one website called roadmap.sh.
Okay, not the W3 school anymore.
No, that's no one should.
That's
go
what
there.
they teach me. They said hey, go there.
No, I don't know if I can curse here, but let's just say,
you can
never
be
go
yourself.
there. No, fuck that W3 schools. That just waste so many of your times. Go to roadmap.sh, then you'll find a different tree. Front end has this tree, it starts from HTML, CSS, then JavaScript, then it goes to a specialization route. If you want to learn React, then it will give you something for React. If you go to Vue or whatnot, this front end has this line, and back end also, and also the others.
So what requires to be full stack developer like you are nowadays? It is years of experience, of course, but before you get this years of experience, you need to get to coding, and then to get to coding you get the learning first. Somehow does the internet work, how does the technology work? That's what we got in university, let's say. After that you would need roughly a couple months of hardcore coding learning to be able to produce functions and a code, and then be able to code. And then after that you basically able to land a junior job. Yeah,
but I mean the magic word is you have to want it. It's not about only kind of do I how to become a web developer.
Right.
You have to say do I want to be a web developer, so to say, and then I think you will get everything for yourself ready out in the market, because it's such a vast field and it's such popular. So I think you'll get everything.
Okay, I hear it. You already gave quite a lot of nuggets, let's say, how to learn. So I think we pretty covered that. And then before we transition, or I think this question will be a nice transition to our next topic. And then what's our next topic already, I told you. But would you expand a bit? How do you like it kind of currently, and where are you looking into the future?
Yeah, sure. I'm not 100% kind of on board with what I really see myself. I have let's just say this multiple ideas that I want. Nowadays delving into kind of content creation. So maybe I want to have my own content creation platform, maybe in YouTube or TikTok. And my idea is to let's just say provide a idea that if I can be self-sufficient, and if I can improve myself, just laying out what kind of things I did to improve myself, and if people are interested in same sort of stuff and can take a lead based on what I have done to improve myself. So that's one of the idea that I've been juggling. Other than that, professionally, I also want to delve into a bit more DevRel, which is long form for developer relations.
Was that, sorry?
It's it's called, in short, it's called DevRel, but in long term or long form, it says developer relationship manager. So it's basically if you're if you want to say about certain topic or certain things in the engineering field, you go out there, do keynote speaking about those technology and whatnot. So let's just say I'm very passionate about this paradigm of how the front end is shifting from one thing to another, and how it is impacting the software engineers, and taking this knowledge how can you better yourself. I want to also talk about it in general, and so that I know some stuff if I can distribute or share this knowledge to the masses, I think they'll be they will also kind of how would I say get something out of it. Maybe they can better themselves with this knowledge. So that's something I really want to do.
Okay, so then to build up on the same kind of your new maybe adventure, and I think it's quite aspiring, to hear that this where you want to go. What do you think? So where does the coding goes? And we already mentioned ChatGPT makes it all easier. So where does it all go? Do we need coders in the future?
It's a really great question, and when you ask this, this meme came to my mind, and I kind of saw it a while ago. It's quite funny. So the premise of it is so there's this two developer talking,
right?
And then so one developer is saying to the other one ChatGPT is gonna take all of our jobs.
Everybody's worried now. They're gonna take all the jobs.
Yeah. So ChatGPT is gonna take all of our jobs, and the other developers say, so in order to ChatGPT take our jobs, what do you think ChatGPT need? So ChatGPT needs clear instructions. It needs concise description, concise specification. And then the other developer laughed and said guys, we are safe, because that's what we do in daily day-to-day basis. So that's kind of what I say. Doesn't really matter. I think this field, at least for the near future, I think it's growing even now. Even though people are saying, oh, ChatGPT is gonna take this and that, but in the software development industry, it's not gonna impact anything. Maybe the role might change. Maybe the responsibilities of the junior developer nowadays, what they do, maybe the role will change to maybe a bit different, because maybe ChatGPT already knows how to do, let's just say, quote unquote, this junior developer responsibilities. Maybe they have to kind of know a bit different paradigm to perform their tasks. So it's not gonna take any jobs in software development, in my opinion. It's just gonna change the paradigm a bit.
Yeah, but we surely need to know how to utilize all the new tools.
For sure. I mean, this is a given. I mean, tools like ChatGPT and all the alternatives that it has, I think you need to harness the power of these tools, because it will make you efficient. It will make you even better developer, dare I say. So I mean, why not use the tool? Don't take it don't think this is your competitor or ChatGPT is your enemy. More or less think this is your companion. It's gonna make you better person.
It is a tool. So it's not your competitor. It's a tool that you use to be even better.
Yeah, I know, right? Many people just have this notion, they think, oh, this ChatGPT is gonna just take their jobs or replace them.
Right.
Just don't think that way. Just think well, you can incorporate it in your job and make your life easier.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And then also you've mentioned that you're into more of a creative field, so to say. You mentioned YouTube or TikTok. So is there anything you want to share? So what are you looking up for? What's on agenda?
Yeah, I think I touched on this subject a bit. More or less self-development, but focusing on more or less on for the software developers in general. I wouldn't say software developer, but someone who wants to grow in a more personal level. Let's just say we are doing 9-to-5 jobs, even more, and our brain is so analytical, and we are always constantly thinking about challenges and numbers and whatnot. My idea, or my personal self, sometimes I get so invested, I don't enjoy my personal life, or I don't have plan B, or something how to improve myself in the different side of things.
Right.
Maybe communication, maybe even personal relationship or something like that. So this is the thing that I have, or I'm still learning the hard way. And I think part of this journey is also documentation. I want to kind of document this whole journey,
Right.
and kind of tell to the world, hey, these are the stuff I did along with my coding 9 to 5 jobs, and say to them hey, if I can enjoy my other things and I did this way, why can't you? And you can take some nuggets from my journey, maybe that will help you out a bit. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I want to do.
And I think it is a great idea, and also it sounds like you're incorporating this lead by example approach. And I think recently it was on my agenda. I was also sharing something about this in Instagram, and then also somebody commented that this is one of the traits they liked in me, that sometimes I just do and lead by example, and I share what is happening. So I think for you, in order to be able to influence others, developers or not developers, depending on your let's say target audience or the people who you want to be in a community with, so you do your example and you share, and then you become more inspiring, and then you feel better, and then they have an opportunity to move along together, and then look up for, and it is a great idea.
In technical term, there's we call open source, when we share something of our own and share to the world so that they can make it better,
Right.
And this is more or less the same model, I'm just open sourcing my life.
Open source. So how can I name it? You're technicalizing, making technical, making YouTube a bit more technical, or open sourcing. So it's not a blogger, but he's open source.
Open source personal development.
Open source personal. It sounds wonderful. And then was it so I think I heard a bit before from you about the entrepreneurial ambitions. Are you looking into the, let's say, companies? You don't need to share anything that is in the pipeline and developing, but I'm curious of personally, you, Ruman, are you interested also to be part of the funding company, or what's your ambition there?
Right now I don't have any any sort of superficial ideas about generating money in a nutshell. But if I see something sustainable, why not? But talking about the startups, I've been delving into multiple ideas, multiple very entry level people, so to say. I also bootstrapped pieces here and there, but not convinced enough if something I really want to kind of go in full motion,
Right.
Because for me it needs to spark that kind of interest and joy in me. And right now, as I said, I'm into more personal development journey.
Right.
I feel I need the fulfillment in my personal journey before kind of take control of the world. So
Okay, got it. Sounds super good. We are approaching the end of our today's podcast already. Time is flying. Or maybe before we go to the connection, any tips you would have to people maybe going towards self-development or going to the maybe more technical development or software development journey? Something that you'd like to share, before we close up?
Sure. I think one thing I definitely would say, it kind of applies for everybody, this term called imposter syndrome. And people often think they're not enough. Don't it's normal to think it that way, but don't let it kind of consume your head.
Right.
You'll not get anything done. I would just say just open your website, open your Chrome or Firefox or whatnot, and just just type roadmap.sh or free code camp, anything, and just start doing. Maybe if you put half an hour a day, but put half an hour. You just need to be a bit concise that I want it.
Right.
And you kind of everything, throw it out the window. If you put half an hour every day, and if it's this is the thing that I have done for today, and tomorrow will follow, and the day after will follow, and in no time I think you'll just be you'll be surprised how far you have come, and you'll see you'll just look your your back and then say oh my god, it's been monumental what I have achieved so far. So yeah, I would just say like, don't overthink, don't complicate things.
Right.
Just like start and like just get going. Just push yourself. Like half an hour a day, it's enough. I don't know what
No,
else to
this
say.
is legendary advice. I mean, it's a pity you guys cannot, see me nodding here with my head like just like a crazy. Yes. This,
Yeah, he was nodding
that's
like
the
crazy.
drill. Cool. Thank you for that. How do people find more about you, and then how do they, maybe connect with you?
Sure.
What's the platform?
Like I'm pretty much everywhere. Like that's one of the bad side of me. Maybe like I'm putting too much effort in my social handles. But yeah, you can if you search Ruman Hoque, so that's RUMANHUQ,
In the description link, yes.
and that will be handled for pretty much every platform. Like Facebook.
Is there also GitHub is the thing for developers, right?
Yes. Well, in GitHub it's a bit different. It's a Ruman BSL. I will.
But
share it in
you
the
have
show
it there,
notes.
right?
Yes.
So we're gonna add the link there. So if you are a developer or searching for developers or maybe CTOs level type of thing, so
for sure. Yeah. Just talk to me and then let's see what's out there.
Super good. Ruman, thank you very much for making it here. I really appreciate it, and it was a great discussion, and hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
It's been a pleasure, Ruman.
Thank you.